Hello everyone, back at it again in my little yellow kayak. I just launched the kayak and I'm headed out onto a small bog pond. In case you're not familiar, bog ponds are what cranberry bogs use to flood the cranberries in the fall time of the year. It's spring right now, got bright sunny skies, and it's actually pretty windy. You wouldn't know it at this little bog pond. It's pretty sheltered from the wind, but on a big lake or the ocean, you'd definitely be feeling it. It's the middle of the day, bright sun, tough fishing. At least I got the wind. But the BFS, I feel like, is a good equalizer. And I'm going to do pretty well today with the BFS rod. It really changed up my midday fishing game. I used to just always use a spinning rod midday. Unless it was cloudy or rainy or something like that. Some conditions I felt like I'd have a really good bite. But BFS is kind of a great equalizer. Look at that little perch. He's all covered in these little black parasites. Those are part of like a cycle between snails, birds, and snail-eating fish, like yellow perch. The white perch that are in here, they really don't have as many parasites, and I think that's because they're not eating as many snails as the yellow perch. Even the mouths of the yellow perch, they're kind of angled down, and they spend a lot of time sucking junk up off the bottom, including snails and other little invertebrates and stuff like that. That's a little pumpkin seed. They didn't have as many parasites either. Anyway, the main target for today is white and yellow perch, and I'm using my BFS rod to throw small jerk baits. In this case, Lucky Craft Pointer 65. I started out with the yellow perch color, and then I switched to, it's like a American MS shad, something like that. But it's kind of got a herring look to it with some scale and sparkle. Mostly just like a little silvery herring colored jerk bait with some blue on top and maybe a little purple too. I got another one. That's a little better yellow perch. These guys are cannibals too. It went after the yellow perch colored pointer. If I could get my thumb on them, I'd show them to you. Yeah, a little bit longer, less parasites. These perch are all spawned out, so they're a little skinny now. Back in February, March, they'd be a little bit fatter than they are right now, but that's okay. So these kind of bog ponds in these conditions, they're a great alternative. You know, I could be out trout fishing a big lake. I could be bass fishing, but the bass are spawning right now. I'm trying to leave them alone. And so they make for a great alternative to a lot of other options, especially if the wind is up. And I end up fishing most often on the windy side of the pond. I feel like the wind stacks up plankton and other stuff in the water, and then the bait fish are on the plankton, and then the bigger fish are after the bait fish. You can get a better look at the wind right now over my right shoulder. Another yellow perch. My real target here is the white perch, and the reason for that is that the white perch run bigger. Some pretty good sized ones. I've fished this pond for a long time now. And it's changed a lot over the years. It used to be crystal clear with this wonderful thick green weed in it. I used to fish a lot with a Texas rig here. Electric blue lightning, I think, was the color, and culprit made the worm. Anyway, it used to be loaded with 2 to 3 pound bass, beautiful green weeds, crystal clear water, and they started treating it with weed killer. And now the pond really isn't the same as it used to be. There's what I'm looking for, those white perch. And so I assume they did that to keep the weeds out of the pump house for the bog pond. They've been treating it yearly, at least, with weed killer since. And the pond has dark stained water now. It's kind of cloudy and dirty. Visibility isn't what it used to be. The weeds that are left are like this clingy, slimy, green algae stuff on the bottom. there isn't as much, emergent vegetation or even submergent vegetation. There is still weed-like growth, but I would categorize it more as algae than pond weeds. Searching around for my forceps there. Sometimes these white perch can stick you. They got sharp fins. Plus, they're thrashing around with the hooks. I don't want to get a hook in me, so I'm trying to be a little bit careful how I hold these fish and do most of the work with the forceps. Let's see if I can switch hands. There he is. Yeah, so I ended up in kind of this windy corner of the pond, and I was doing all right, It wasn't every cast, but for the middle of the day, I felt like I was doing all right with this perch bite here. I didn't see anything too special about this corner. I know from the Clearwater days and also taking a fish finder out here that it's a pretty shallow pond. It's got one little trench in it that runs probably 7, 8, 9 feet depending on time of year and total water depth. And that trench, I assume, is part of some old remnant that they flooded when they filled out this pond. But most of it's very shallow. I'd say 3 feet or less. Even in the middle, there's a big flat that goes out into the middle that's probably 3, 4 feet. In the winter, a lot of those fish will slide into the trench. Anyway, there's another white perch. Years ago when I was fishing here, I never would see the white perch. And I don't know how they got in here. It is pretty close to salt water. And so during a big storm, you could have washed some white perch into here. Either through a culvert or even over the road. It's kind of hard for me to imagine that, but I'm trying to think how else they could get in here. Maybe somebody stocked them. But years ago, there wasn't any white perch in here, and now they seem to be doing pretty well. And so for me, it's kind of fun to just come here on an afternoon, middle of the day. I'm not expecting a great bite anywhere else. And I can come here and load the boat with multi-species. Although today it's mostly perch. I did get 1 or 2 pumpkin seeds, but mostly perch. Now, years ago, I used to expect to catch a lot of 2 to 3 pound bass. And there are still bass in here. They tend to run a lot smaller than they used to be. And I assume there's a few big ones to make the little ones, but I just don't run into the quality fish like I used to. I feel like I'm a better fisherman than I used to be too, but I don't know, maybe I'm slipping a little bit. But I just feel like the pond's changed quite a bit over the years. And it all has to do with the weed killer they put in every year. What's that? That's a bigger white perch. Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, they seem to be doing really well in here. I don't think there's a herring run that comes in here. So I assume they're eating young of the year perch, young of the year panfish. There's probably some shiners, maybe a few minnows in here. Oh, I was trying to show them to you. We got away. I was trying to switch hands. He was a little too quick for me. The rod I'm using is Genko Double Down BFS rod. It's a true moderate fast action, which I like for all kinds of stuff. You can fish small crankbaits like 1/4 ounce or under crankbaits, even up to 3/8. It handles all right. And the reel is an Arc Gravity BFS. I've got 10-pound Suffix 832 braid on there with a leader of 6-pound Yozuri hybrid. And man, I can do all kinds of stuff with that little rod. It's saved the day for me so many times now. See my retrieve. Pop, pop, pop. There he is. I was letting that bait pause, but you don't have to, the panfish aren't as fussy. You don't have to give them, a full 10 or 15 second pause like you do smallmouth early in the season. They were pretty agreeable on this trip. I don't even think I used any scent. Usually with jerkbaits, I'll put some scent on them because they're sitting still for a while. Yeah, that's a nice one. They're supposed to be, in terms of genealogy, closer to striped bass than they are to yellow perch. And I guess it makes sense in the kind of mouth shape and hunting style. They act more like striped bass than they do yellow perch, even though they're both called perch. This was kind of fun. The wind was blowing me towards the shoreline and I had cast out, so I just started back paddling. Gave it a few twitches. I think I got bumped somewhere around here, so I was paying a little bit more attention. There he is. Catching him in reverse. That's a nice white perch. Oh, and he's gone. Had to duck down there to avoid the jerkbait coming at my head. Anyway, this was a fun trip. If you don't have a BFS rod in your arsenal, I recommend it. They're great for tough bites, slow days. Anytime you really need to get a bite, it's the middle of the day, and you'd expect slow fishing otherwise. These little rods can produce. All different species too. Alright, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Just like all my other videos, I'll list all the gear in the video description so you can duplicate what I was doing out here today and hopefully have some good success wherever you might be fishing around the country or around the world. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!